Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Tonight I want to get into a conversation around certain rule sets, specifically target practice, and the second one is Melee Mayhem. So this was a question that I got from a community member in my Thursday night members only live event, and I did answer it to them privately, but I want to answer it publicly because I know that these are going to be questions that are going to reach a broader audience than just the people that are in the members only. But if you want to be present on my Thursday night live events that are for members only, then consider checking out the community page on my YouTube channel and finding your favorite tier and getting involved. All members are invited to come join us on Thursdays for that live event. And the question from the community member was, I really struggle to win with target practice and with Melee Mayhem. And he's got a lot of power too. He has a strong deck. He said he had about 700,000 power. So he's playing in Diamond or even Champion, and he needs some help with that. So I wanted to first of all point out what those are. Target practice is all ranged and magic attack monsters have the snipe ability. Melee Mayhem, where melee monsters can attack from any position. They're totally different. We're gonna go with target practice first. And I think there's 2 or 3 key points that I want to raise for this battle mode. What I like to do with this battle mode is that first, speed is so important. You need to be attacking before your opponent attacks, because in many cases you can use the snipe ability on monsters that are not usually snipe, have blast, to then get the massive dispersion of powerful damage, right? Because if my archery monsters such as fire team, if I'm running with a fire team, because I happen to know that I have quite a couple monsters with blast. Okay, so if the game is going to force my archers and my magic monsters to have snipe attack, then bringing blast to that game and that rule set is going to be really powerful, because that blast is going to shoot into the first archery monster on your opponent's team, which is then going to mean that it's going to hit almost certainly a first, second, and third monster, because usually the first archery monster or your snipe defender is in that second position or even third. And as a result, you're going to do maximum damage with blast. So fire happens to have quite a few options with this. And fire is going to be important for both of these rule sets, from target practice and Melee Mayhem, but right now we're speaking only about target practice. Fire Demon's amazing if you have it, and it does 4 damage at the highest levels for 4 mana. It's an amazing card, and again, it comes with blast. So that's an amazing option, but most of you aren't going to have it. There's a beta and an alpha version. I used to have it, but I haven't had it for a long time. The new Countess would work. The opportunity is going to be superseded by the rule set of all archery and all range attackers become snipe. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to give you that speed burst too, which speed is so key, because when you understand that all archers are going to shoot that second position, that first sniper tank, that means the blast is so powerful, which means that going first is so important, because you're going to really devastate your team. So yes, if you have Jotun, great, that'll work. Yes, if you have Countess, that'll work. Probably not a lot of people do yet. Fire Demon's amazing. Pirate Maniac's is going to be a sneaker, I think. Actually, I don't know. I guess actually Sneak probably gets superseded by... I think he's still a sneak attacker. I'm not sure. I don't use Pyromaniac very often. Pyromancer I probably wouldn't mess with, because his speed is quite a bit slower, even when you start to complement it with maybe like a Countess or like Fire Monkey. There's other different there's different speed bursts you can get from the fire team that would compensate for this low speed, and at a higher level it gets faster. The point is, you want faster cards. So Fire Elemental is one that I love and I own. It's an untamed card, so it's not super old, and therefore, it's not cheap, but it's very powerful. It does a good amount of archery damage, and it's 5 speed, I think, at the highest levels. Got the blast and the affliction and even the redemption. Then I also use the Elemental Phoenix. So I own these, and these are 2 that I think are great choices. If you have blast on your on a different team, that's something to think through too. Pirate Archer is a card I own. Ruler of the Seas I don't own, but if you did, that'd be a nice 1-2 combo. High Priest is an interesting choice because he's got Blast and Prismologist also, but then you're dealing with a slow 2 and 2, and they do, I think, get to 3 speed, but still that's relatively slow. Death, Screaming Banshee is amazing, but if you get hit with, if you use this technique and I put like a Magic Reflect monster in that snipe defense, you're going to kill yourself with your own damage output. So there are lots of different ways to do it. Dragon has some additional options for you. Again, these are expensive, but you know, you need to pick a lane here. Whether, especially, he said he had 700,000 collection power. I'm sure he has some of these tools. And for you guys out there, if you are playing at a higher level, you're going to need some of these, especially if you're getting into Diamond or Champion and you're trying to compete at the highest levels. These are cards, some of these you're going to need. Maybe not all of them, but some of them, yes. And I think Blast is one strategy for really utilizing that snipe attack. Second and most important approach is you got to punch first. So speed, speed, speed. And then the last tip I'll give on target practice is that you can just totally ignore the archery. Even though this is cool and powerful and effective, what I'm saying to you will work in certain contexts. When you're going up against, when you're entering a battle of where all ranged and magic monsters have snipe, your opponent recognizes that you are probably going to try what I just described. And so then you need to get like 3D chess on them, where it's like 4D, you got to go 4D chess on them and think, okay, if they expect me to do archery, then maybe I just go melee. And so I'll often in this rule set, especially in lower mana matches, I will actually fight this rule set without doing any archery. And I'll bring out first tank, a second tank with a reach, and then like opportunity and sneak monsters. And then the whole team will be melee focused. And that is something that they're probably not going to be defending for because they're thinking archery. So that can be an interesting way to turn it on its head. Now, you won't be able to take advantage of the blast damage in that context unless you have a Jotun. Because most melee monsters won't have blast damage, at least those that can attack from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th positions don't usually have blast damage. But that's what I'll try, and it does work. And so speed is really key if you're using the archery technique with the blast. And if you go melee, you want to focus either on opportunity or on sneak. It's best if you can do like 4 sneak attackers, which is sometimes possible, as opposed to 2 opportunity, 2 sneakers, and 2 front row attackers. So focus fire. So that's target practice. And then Melee Mayhem is a little bit simpler. The trick here is really just focusing on, you definitely want to go melee, right? Like, again, here's the thing though, with Melee Mayhem, you want to, this is an amazing opportunity to unleash some of the most powerful melee monsters in the game. Again, blast is a great thing to be looking for. Some of these glass cannons, like the Exploding Dwarf or the Exploding Rats, which have very low hit points, they can be put off in the 5th or the 6th spot and therefore be more resilient, more defended, more safe, and be allowed to do what they do best, which is drop serious damage. So again, I'll often go fire, and I'll go with these 2 in the back lines, and I'll put something more meaty in the 1st or 2nd position. Some monsters with shield or with thorns damage. Thorns is really important because if I do this and you have a thorns monster in the 1st position, I'm going to kill myself, right? Because both of those Exploding Dwarf, Exploding Rats, both of those monsters have 1 hit point. So thorns will kill me. So thorns is key as a defensive technique in the 1st position. But it's often best if you can get something that you don't really care about that really is just offering you the thorns damage. This is not going to be pivotal in damage output, but it's going to be pivotal in a defensive position because of the amount of hit points, the low mana cost, and the thorns ability. Otherwise, you can do something like a Serpentine Soldier with dodge, shield, dodge, and thorns. It's a great choice, but you know, this is almost, you don't want it to die because it is doing a good amount of damage. So I would say this is less preferable. Heatsmith is a great cheap choice to put up in the 1st position because again, you don't need a melee monster in the 1st position in that context. So thorns in the first position, glass cannons in the rear. Blast damage can be really helpful, but isn't necessary. Speed is always important. And then 2 more tips: inspire and demoralize. You need to use those in conjunction with this rule set, because inspire obviously is going to amp up all of the damage output from all of your melee monsters, gives all friendly monsters +1 attack. You're going to be looking for incorporating like a beetle queen or a pirate captain, or demented shark. Got the river Helendel, there you go. I like doing white, and I'll use the silver shield knight and the chaos knight and the evangelist, and then on top of that I'll throw out a couple demoralizes, because you can do those 3 with your white team, and then you can look for demoralize. And then you can put Disintegrator, which is neutral, and Legionnaire. And this one's a nice first position monster. So assuming the mana cap is there, I can do that whole squad, and I give myself +3 attack and give you -2 attack. And it can be really, really helpful. And they're all going to be buffing each other, right? So my guys are going to be hitting like trucks. And unless speed is a problem, because speed with these two, speed can end up being a problem. Maybe you have dodge, maybe you have Phantom of the Abyss in the first position, and then I'm never going to hit it because of the speed. So there are ways to counter what I'm suggesting, but with Melee Mayhem, I like to do a full-out melee team with some of my glass cannons in the back, buried behind, thorns damage in the front, and lots of melee-focused demoralize or inspire. That's what I'll do with Melee Mayhem, and that's what I often find helps me win. And with everything, speed is key. So that's the 2 abilities that I was asked to cover, and this is the video I wanted to share with that. I just felt like I talked about it in the live event, but this is more for everybody, and it's in a more of a concise, clear. We talked about one and then the other. I hope this is helpful. I'm happy to do this more often with more of these rule sets if you guys want me to. So just let me know in the comments below, and which rule sets are important to you. I've already talked about, I think, Equalizer and a few others, but yeah, let me know in the comments below, guys. Have an amazing day. God bless.